Hello now. That's how the pilgrims might have said, hello, how are you? I'm Melissa and I just wanted to share with you some teaching ideas for Thanksgiving. When I was teaching first grade, I'm now teaching third grade, but when I was teaching first grade, we always celebrated Thanksgiving. It was one of my favorite things. We had a great time. The students always really enjoyed it. So the first thing we would always do is give the students a pilgrim name. And I like to use the list from the actual Mayflower list of 102 passengers. It's actually a 2-page list I have here, and I would cut apart the boys' names and the girls' names and put them into a bag for them to select. And it's not always really obvious what the boys' names are or the girls' names because they had some unusual ones, which will bring up some great conversation starters when the names are Remember or Love or Wrestling or Oceanus, fun names. So you can just cut those apart and put those into a bag to select. I kind of do a bubble wrap of a boy and a girl pilgrim and put the names into each bag and then pull out a name to select. And I'm going to be giving you this as a freebie, so there will be a link for you to download this name portion of this for free. So if the name's Priscilla, then I would call that student Miss Priscilla during the rest of our unit. And of course I need to remember that and they need to remember that. So we would print a little name card and put that pilgrim name on it and just tape it together so it stands up, and then there you have your pilgrim name. The other things I like to do at the beginning of the unit, I would always have them go on a pretend journey on the Mayflower. So they would come into the room and I would already have it taped off into very small sleeping quarters, and they would enter and I'd place them usually about 5 or 6 in each of those little sections, and it truly is tiny. I finally, after teaching it for several years, went to Plymouth and was shocked when I went to visit the Mayflower at how small it was. So they will enter it and we'll talk about how those family quarters were so tiny, and then about how it was below deck, so it would have been very dark and they would have just had candles, so we would light candles, turn off the room lights. And then I have a little script I read to them about the Mayflower journey and some of the dangers the pilgrims faced, some of the interesting things, like one of the boys, Francis Billington, almost blew up the ship, and they always love to hear that story. And then I'll serve them what the pilgrims might have had on the journey, some water. Now, we know they ran out of fresh water very early. We could talk about that. But I would put some water in a little jug. This one is from Plymouth Plantation, but any jug will work. And then I would make some hardtack, which would just be biscuits, and I would let them dry out because, of course, after that many days on the boat, they were getting very hard and moldy. And so we would talk about that as well and have little pieces of biscuit that are just basic baking biscuits, and then let them get a little dry and crumbly. But I've had actually students tell me how delicious they were, and parents want to know how we made the hardtack. So it was not too complicated, little can of biscuits. And then a little piece of cheese, and I put some biscuit and cheese into a baggie and give each student one of those. So those are a few ideas for you to get you started. I do have the script and a paid product on Teachers Pay Teachers, so if you want to get that, and of course this name portion I'm going to give to you as a freebie, so look for the link down below. And then another great thing, there's of course all kinds of great pilgrim books. I have a few of those behind me. I always have a lot of great books to share with the kids at this time. And another thing I like to do is Scholastic always has some links to a virtual Thanksgiving where you can go and see Plymouth Plantation. So I like to show them that so they see what it was like once the pilgrims arrived. So those are a few tips to get you started. I hope those are some things you can use. I'm Melissa, and you can find me blogging at teachertreasurehunter.com, or you can find me on a collaborative blog at classroomtestedresources.com. And that's where I'll be posting this freebie, and there will be a link down below to direct you to that. Thanks.